How do you feel when scary stories use disabilities as a reason why someone is scary? Like it could be
What do you mean? Elaborate.
it could be like a physical disfigurement that makes them a bad person, or like it could be someone who has a multiple personality disorder, or someone that's schizophrenic.
Like split?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that it's not my favorite, but I do think sometimes it's interesting. Because especially in the past when people didn't understand like schizophrenia, for example, that was probably really scary. You know what I mean? For the time. Obviously, you want to be respectful and you don't want to use it just as a device.
Well, to add on to that, do you remember that book we read? It was not a scary book, but it involved. I just remembered what book it was.
What book was it?
Because I was going to be like, I think we both really enjoyed it. It was fucking Credence by Penelope Douglas.
Credence.
Do you remember Credence?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I remember.
Unfortunately, I think about her every time before I go to sleep. There was this part where this character had a trauma and could not speak. And when they would try to speak, it would be through like very physical, big emotion. I don't know. That's not the word I wanted to use. Like a show of emotion. And there was this part where the character was really angry. And our main character, whose name starts with a T, maybe, was
Tiernan.
Obviously, Tiernan was like, no, you don't get it. This is how people like him communicate. What are you trying to say to me? Are you angry? That's the vibe I get sometimes with horror books that use disabilities, because it's just kind of like, you're not helping. You're not helping, and you think you're helping, but you're not helping. And it, to me, if it's not elaborated that it wasn't, like, for example, schizophrenia back then, you're right, people didn't know what it was, so it was a scary thing. If it's not elaborated that it wasn't helped, or like they didn't know and they didn't do anything to treat it, then it just kind of feels like a cop-out to me. Or like if the entire story went on and at the very end you figure out they're schizophrenic, or at the very end you figure out they have something that can cause like, you know, like homicidal tendencies or something like that. It's just kind of like, why are you doing that shit?
Yeah.
It feels lazy to me.
Okay.
But then that's not true for all of them, because there are some horror books that like I think do it really well.
I don't know how to feel about it. I feel like for me, if you're just trying to like villainize the disability, then that's when I get the ick. But then I don't know, because isn't Split a good movie? I haven't seen Split, but isn't that a good movie?
People didn't like it.
Really?
Well, a lot of people liked it, but people
I thought people did. Maybe not.
Well, I remember it getting a lot of hate because I guess the community of people who have a dissociative identity disorder didn't like didn't like the interpretation of DID. I don't know, because then it kind of feels like, oh, so you think everyone's like that.
Yeah, I think it's just an extreme.
Yeah.
Obviously for entertainment. But
do you think the actor went and was with someone who had DID to learn more about it?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I feel like if they did their research like that, then I'm okay with it. But if they were like, I think this is what it's like.
I'm just going to assume.
I'm going to assume it's like this.
So you think it's more so okay if they actually do more research on it?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's explained in a way that like, okay, I understand why they're like this.
Because I feel like there's nothing that I can really pinpoint, but I feel like watching a movie where you don't know what the hell is happening, but then if you find out, oh, it's because the main character was sick and didn't know what was real or not real. You know, I'm not saying it was just schizophrenia. It could be something else. I don't know why, but I feel like that was more common before.
Yeah.
Not that I really can pinpoint to anything specifically, but I don't know. It's just interesting. It's interesting to see what people think about those types of themes now. Because I do remember when we were talking about the housemaid.
Yeah.
You brought up that you would have hated if, oh my God, Nina. I'm not going to spoil it, but if one of the characters who had a lot of medical issues from what we thought. Oh my God. How do I say this without spoiling? You would have hated it if it would have just played off of her being sick.
Yes.
Which I get because I feel like it didn't really bring anything to the story. But I do feel like some of them do bring something to the story, even if one of them is sick. Do you know what I mean?
And I feel like with all that being said, do you think a spooky story that is so open-ended, open to interpretation the entire time, do you think a story like that can fix your life?
Yeah, I think so. Well, when you put it that way.
Just like, you're shaking your head. Yeah.
Totally. If there's one thing I love, is asking questions.
Love that shit. Hello, welcome to the Book Fix podcast, where we fix lives one book at a time. I'm your host, Cheli.
And I'm your host, Yajaira.
And today we are talking about My Darling Dreadful Thing
by Johanna Van Veen.
Johanna. Love that. Okay.
Joanne.
I thought of that when you said her name, and I was like, I'm not going to sing. I'm going to keep this one really professional.
Sorry. Sometimes we share one brain.
So before we start, I do want to say that we are going to deep dive this book so fucking much. And we are going to just say everything from the periods to the commas. We're going to say everything. But also, we're not going to say everything because sometimes we forget.
Sometimes not all of the details matter.
Not all the details matter. And then sometimes the author doesn't give us the detail we want. So we might just kind of sprinkle it in there. Sprinkle in ourselves in there. But please join us and in talking about this spooky ass, disgusting ass story. Can I tell you?
Oh my God.
Can I tell you my whole life? I lay down like I'm in a therapy session.
Should I move off of this couch so you can lay down?
My whole life, I have never liked blood. I don't think anyone does. Well, I'm just gonna put a pin in that one. That's for you guys. So I don't like blood. I can't deal with it. Okay. I can't look at it.
Okay.
There was this one time, one of my kids got a cut, and it was a really bad cut, and I had to clean it, and it wasn't stopping, so I had to put gauze on it. Gross. Sorry, I'm getting into this.
Trigger warning, blood.
When I finished, and I didn't even realize, my hands were shaking. Like, I'm really bad with blood.
Really? Okay.
So
that's interesting. I'm not bad with blood, but I'm not the best either. You know, I'm like in the middle ground. Like I could handle it. Like if you have a cut, I can help you clean it.
Well, you've worked in situations where you've seen.
Oh, dude, yes. But let me tell you, working in a medical office, the worst thing personally is burns because they get very pussy.
Oh, gosh.
And that for me was hard.
Yeah.
Harder than the blood.
And then it sucks because you can't react.
No.
You know, a patient walks in and you're like, it's like, oh.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
But
no, but you have to be professional because you're doing your job. But same for me.
I will say, I think it depends on the cut though. Because there were some really bad cuts that I was like, I can't do that one. I can't. I'm sorry.
With my student, he was running really, really fast, and it was down an incline, and he slid on gravel.
Oh God, I remember this.
Yeah, so he had his entire it was a good chunk of his leg, and I couldn't stop the bleeding because there was one specific big cut. And I remember just kind of calming him down. I was like, it's not that bad. Like, honestly, it's not that bad. A little Band-Aid, that'll do the trick. And I was trying to get his mind off of it. But then he was like, you think you need a break? Like, you want me to finish? Like, he was going to wrap himself up. And I was like, no, I got this. Finished and everything. And I just looked at my hands and I was just like shaking. And I'm like, now I know this about me. Now this is just, I added to my lore. That being said.
Why do you bring up the blood?
So this story, put a pin in that because it'll come back. this story revolves around our main character, who in the audiobook it was pronounced Roos.
Roosh? I thought it was Roosh.
Roosh. We heard it said because it's a
Dutch name?
Dutch name, Roche.
Roche. Yeah,
But we're going to say Roosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Our main character, Roosh, she lives with someone who she calls Mama, but is not related to her.
Well,
And
we don't know.
True. And they have this business.
They have this scam, if you will, where ever
trying to be
since
nice about it.
ever since she was a little girl, her and her mama conduct seances.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so bad for Rouge because she was very, very scared because she would have to hide under the floorboards and pull certain like threads or whatever, ropes, and every rope would make something fall over inside of the room.
Yeah.
And anytime her mama would give her the line, like let's say she was like, spirits, show yourself, she would pull a cord and then something would topple over.
Yeah.
But she would be super scared in the beginning because she was small, and so she would cry and then bite herself as a form of comfort, I guess.
Yeah.
And then she saw a little ghosty.
And ever since then, now that she's a little older, she talks about...
First, she would see the ghost and she would be scared. And then at first she didn't want the ghost around her.
Mm-hmm.
But then she bit herself and she kind of like was bleeding, and she did kind of a movement where she like waved her hand, and the ghost kind of like caught the blood like midair. And ever since then, the ghost has been bound to Rouge.
Didn't they use the word wedded? Like a married thing? And I was like, damn.
Yeah, basically. Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, she is now older, but I will say her mama dresses her like
young.
That's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Her mom explained this thing where it was like, well, you have to look tempting to men because they're going to want you. You can't let them have you.
It was disgusting because the mom wanted her to look super young. So she would also starve her, so she would remain really thin.
Yeah.
And what did she say? There was even a point when Mama explains to her, men lust over things they can't have. So if you look younger, you're going to arouse them. And that's going to be, that's going to be good for our business. And I think Rouge was kind of just like, okay, that's weird. But then one of the guests, because they called him guests, hit her. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Mama did anything about that. No,
because it explains that the entirety of Rouge's experience with this was very much, she has had moments where guests have hit her. Mm-hmm. She has had moments where guests have like tried kissing her. She had one specific moment where someone had hit her with it was like a baton thing,
like a rod,
and it broke skin. Mm-hmm. But Mama's whole thing was like, well, it's not on the face, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they hit her so bad that she could see her bone in her palm.
Oh God,
I remember that.
Okay, but I hate it.
This was the prologue, by the way, and then also we go into an episode where it's basically a doctor patient, and you can tell that the patient is Rouge.
Yeah.
And the doctor is just kind of like asking her questions. So after, I think it's every chapter, we go to a different episode of the future, and they're kind of just discussing her whole life story.
Yeah.
And I do want to bring up that this story is separated into 3 different parts. So this is the prologue, but we're getting into the first part. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think the story starts off with Rouge about to be part of another, I guess it's a seance, right? Mm-hmm. And all the guests are gathering up. They all have to hold hands, stay in the circle. And Rouge is like, okay, I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to pretend I'm falling asleep, put my head down like it's like my eyes are getting heavy, whatever. And Ruth opens her mouth for Ruth to go in.
Ruth is the ghost.
Ruth is the ghost, which she named.
Mm-hmm.
The ghost goes in, and it's described as like going into her bones, going down her throat.
The way that it was described was so gross.
Yeah.
Because she said that it's so easy for her to gag.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's tastes gross.
Yeah, but she doesn't gag because then it's harder for Ruth to go down. Oh my God. So when Ruth is in her, whatever happens, it's not Ruth doing it, it's Ruth doing it. So that's kind of like the justification for like a lot of things where it's like, no, that wasn't me, that was Ruth.
Yeah.
So when Ruth is in the body, there's like, she released her inhibitions and she's just doing like acting like someone's deceased kid, acting like someone's lover they lost in the war or something like that.
So Mama compiles like a folder of every guest that arrives for a seance, and that's how Roos and Ruth will kind of go through these folders to get to know these people so that they can mimic what they believe is this character.
Yeah. We didn't mention this, but Ruth's relationship with Roos, fucking hate that shit. I fucking hate that shit. This bitch be drinking Roos's blood. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that part?
Yes, I know exactly. I know exactly what
part. That after fucking 6 months, Roos finally got her period.
Because again, the mom starves her
and was cleaning her underwear. Sorry, her knickers. And while she was cleaning it, the water was coming out pink, and Ruth goes over and drinks it like a dog.
Lapping that shit.
And I paused my audiobook. I got out of my car. I walked the rest of the way home. Hello?
Dude, she loves blood.
Or would like sometimes if there was blood on Ruth's mouth, Ruth would kiss her. But it was like to just kind of like drink the blood.
There was also a part or a point when Roos kissed Ruth to calm her because there was blood on her lips. I remember that too, where she was like, I did it just to satiate her.
I will say in the episodes, I'm going to say some of this out of order. In the episodes when the doctor would be talking to the patient, which was Roos, he asked, so did you and Ruth have a homosexual relationship?
A sexual relationship.
Was it just because you sexually wanted her? And Roos would always answer like, don't say that. You don't understand what I had with Ruth, and you obviously never will, so don't be messing with that.
But she does also say, would you be with your mother? Would you be with your sister? That's exactly what it was.
Thoughts
on what?
Just that entire argument that she has.
Well, I had assumed that Ruth was a manifestation of what Roos wanted as a mother.
Wait, hold on. Ruth was a manifestation of what Roos wanted from a mother.
Yeah.
Which was care and protection.
Because isn't that the reason why Ruth showed up in the first place, was because Roos was neglected by Mama.
But then that goes back to, was Ruth actually there? And that's like a bigger question in itself.
Yeah.
I get what you mean though. Damn.
The blood is definitely weird, but that's what keeps her alive, right?
I think so.
And then also there was moments that there were moments that were explained to us that they would cuddle at night, but it was never weird. It was just like cradling.
Yeah.
So
there were even parts where like it was explained that Ruth was like Roos was on Ruth's lap and it was just like holding. Like, it felt very motherly. You're right. Wow, I didn't pick that up. Queen.
That's just what I took of it. But anyway, so
she's good at her job. She's killing it.
She's too good at her job.
Mama sucks because Mama doesn't feed her. Mama, I think there's like a moment where a doctor. Oh no, that's later. Okay, so new guests are arriving, and the day before, Mama's like, okay, we got a girl coming. Her name is Agnes
Knoop.
and we got to be ready. And Roosh is like, who the fuck is that? Why do you say it like it's an important person?
Well, Mama's super excited because she's just like, we're making the big bucks.
Yeah.
We got this. We have to really impress her. And so Mama has to explain the whole fucking lore because Roosh has no idea who Agnes is. So she explains the lore, right? Yeah, I think she does. Oh, whatever. So basically, Agnes married someone who had money. End of story. Was he the one who made the stockings? Or was that her dad? Because I remember her dad also had something successful.
It was her dad, I think.
But then also her husband had something successful as well.
I don't remember what the husband did, but I think that I remember the dad was a sailor.
Okay. Well, anyway, so Agnes shows up. And she shows up with... Do you remember who?
Was it family?
Yeah, I think it was family, but I don't remember what they were to her.
I remember she brought a whole group and they start the seance and they're like, don't break the circle, don't do that. And it starts with Roosh finding or pretending to be the dead of other people, like significant others of other people or kids of other people. So everyone's like, you know, it's hyping up until Agnes's part. So when it comes to Agnes, she's pretending to be the husband.
Oh, yeah, because she's a widow.
Yes. And Agnes believes it. It seems like she believes it. And she, like, makes out with...
She makes out with Agnes because Agnes starts speaking in English. And both Roosh and Ruth, because remember, Ruth is the one who's possessing her. They're both like short-circuiting. They're like, holy shit, I never did my Duolingo in English. What the fuck do I do right now?
Doesn't Ruth leave at this point?
She does?
Yeah, Ruth leaves.
Why does she leave, though?
I will mention that later. Ruth leaves, so the one that's making out with Agnes is Roosh. And it's hard for her because she's like, oh shit. Like, now I have to walk back to my seat pretending that I'm not fucking... like overheating and I'm not feeling whatever that was. And she's like, her breath is hitched and everything. And she walks over to the window wanting to open it, but she can't because she feels so dizzy. And she's not realizing why Ruth left her. And when she looks out the window, she sees the figure of a man with like a very scary face. Yeah. And then she gets like a cut on her face. And that's kind of where it ends. And then the mama is still trying to be like, oh, my daughter.
She just gets this way when she's drained. She's just tired.
Yeah. And then Agnes is like, oh, you want to take her to the doctor? Well, only if I had money.
I don't have money for that.
If only someone gave me money from their big ass wallet, maybe. And so then Agnes is like, yeah, I'll pay for a doctor. Yeah, whatever. And then they leave. Everyone leaves. And Mama comes over to Roosh and was like, you didn't have to go all out. It's not a brothel here. You don't need to do that shit. Also, that bitch still wants to bring a doctor. So I guess, you know, doctor's coming. And when the doctor comes, it sucks because you could tell this doctor really wanted to help. Because he notices, like, you're probably not eating. You're probably... And he makes the mom walk away to ask her, like, are you sure you're okay? But... And then Roosh doesn't say anything.
He also asks, how often do you get your periods? And she's like, regularly. But she doesn't.
That's so sad.
Because when he points out that she's really thin, the mom is like, oh, well, you know, I was really thin when I was young. It's just genetics. That's just how we are.
And when the doctor leaves, he prescribes medicine that would help him help her because she's probably anemic. And
yeah, iron pills.
When the doctor leaves, I think the mom crushes it and is like, because it's going to make you look ugly. It's going to mess with your teeth. It's going to look gross.
It'll give you yellow teeth.
Oh, my God.
But anyway.
I hated the mom.
Oh, dude,
same. I hated the mom. But Ruth left because this chapter ends with Ruth being in the room. And Roosh is like, what the fuck? You left me out there making out with that beautiful woman? I mean, woman? He's like, how dare you? It's like, no, you don't get it. I know that she saw me.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy.
At this point, I was under the impression this is a full-on ghost story. Like, some shit is going on here.
Yeah. But then I was like, who the fuck was that man?
Yeah, I didn't understand either, but I was in it. I was in it.
Yeah, same. But Then Agnes shows up again and is like, hey, can I buy Roos from you?
And the mom's like, no, that's my daughter. You just can't sell a daughter. Maybe add a 0 or 2.
Maybe add another comma. Keep
No,
going. No, keep going.
Keep going. It's like the fucking Olive Garden with the cheese. Like, I didn't say stop.
I know.
Keep fucking
going. That was literally her.
So
it's like when your mom sells you to One Direction. The Wattpad story.
That just got me. I was like, oh no, because I was about to agree with you. I was like, I fucking hate when that happens. Wednesdays are so hard for me.
Honestly, they are.
I fucking hated this because the mom, as soon as she saw the other check, she was like, I guess a mom's got to do what a mom's got to do.
She also tells Agnes, well, you probably could give her a better life anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah. And then as soon as because Agnes leaves to wait outside while
So
Roos packs.
Yeah.
And the mom's like, you're going to come back. She's not going to want you. She's going to see how little you offer and you're going to come back to me. So,
But then Roos tells her, I'll never come back here.
Yep.
Which, good on her.
Good on her. I just feel like, honestly, I feel like there was so much fight in Roos when it comes to like verbal arguments. But to me, I was never satisfied with how any of her arguments would end. Mm-hmm. But she takes her little suitcase. She doesn't have much. It's mostly just rags. Mm-hmm. And she goes over to Agnes. And Agnes is like, let's buy you new clothes. Let's buy you new everything. Let's go ahead and go out to eat. Let's fill you up.
Because it's cold out. And she's like, where's your coat? This is all I have. She's like, okay, well, we're going to go buy you a coat then.
And she buys her clothes a little bigger because she's like, I want you to
eat.
Yeah. Agnes was so nice, but also I
was like, wait,
thoughts about
I've seen this fucking story before. Hold on. I've seen this story before.
What are you talking about? Where have you seen this? Am I one brain cell right now?
I just feel like this is such a common trope in like Wattpad or fanfics. Oh, you were abused by your family and then all of a sudden this rich person
Harry Styles
buys you. Well, I never read. I know.
No, me neither.
I know that was a big thing in the One Direction fandom, but I never read that.
When I was in middle school, I never read it either. I read it. Just kidding. I did read it, but not because I wanted to. It's because I had a friend who lived vicariously through Harry Styles fan fictions. Okay. So I would read it with him. But I had a friend in middle school, high school, who was really into Teen Wolf.
Yes. Teen Wolf.
And that was it. That was like, they weren't a fandom person or anything. So I was like, oh, that's kind of boring. I feel like there's a lot of good stuff with Teen Wolf. Mm-hmm. And so I brought it up to them and they were just like, I don't know. It's just, I don't really, that's not me.
It's not me. It's not my thing.
And then the next day, because we used to hang out every single day. Mm-hmm. The next day, they looked exhausted.
Oh my God.
They looked like they had not slept.
You opened their third eye.
Yeah. And she had told me about this one fic that she had read where, same thing. It was like, oh, you have such a hard life. I know you want to go back because you don't know where to turn, but live with me for a month and then tell me how you feel. And I'm just like, that's the shit we were reading. That's the shit we were reading when we were kids.
Yeah. Damn. That literally is.
You're right.
So it's kind of, I don't know.
Here's the thing about what I feel about Agnes.
Go ahead.
When they're living together, I was nervous because I did not know yet how old Roos was, because it didn't say an age until when she was when she was living with Agnes.
No, it was before, because I remember I thought she was really young. That scene with the bath, because she hadn't gotten her period for a while.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, is this her first period? And then it wasn't until I think it was before she left with Agnes when she said something about being 21.
Yes.
But I don't remember exactly why she said her age.
Well, before that, I was very worried because I was like, I don't know how old she is. And I don't know if Agnes is getting her with the expectation that she can be her husband and just stand in. That's kind of where I thought this was going.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't want that shit for her. I don't want her to leave and that be it. Mm-hmm. But then Agnes was not doing that.
But Agnes didn't even believe in the charade that they did. Because remember, she was like, that was a good performance. Mm-hmm. So that's what I had thought too in the beginning. I thought, oh, maybe she thinks that this is going to be a doorway to her husband Thomas, and that's why she's so interested in her. But then, don't you remember when they were buying clothes or eating or something like that before they got to Agnes's home? Agnes told Roos, hey, I just want you to know you can leave at any time.
Yeah.
Like if you have somewhere else to be, if you have any other family, I don't want you to think you're bound to me but beholden. Yes, that's exactly the word she said. So I wasn't sure where this was going.
Me neither. So they go to they're in Roos's room, I think, when this happens, where Agnes kind of turns quickly. Like she's looking at Roos, but then she turns and then turns back. And I think Ruth is like, oh my gosh, she just looked at me. Did you say that shit? She just looked at me. And then it's like until a little bit later where Agnes reveals, like, I could see her too. Kind of. She's like blurry or whatever. But can you describe her to me? And this is where I was like, okay, she can't fucking see her. Because it's like, my imaginary friend, Ruth, she looks this tall and she has raven ebony hair.
It's just like this blood red hair, I think it was.
No, but she's describing her. And then Agnes is like, oh, now I see her.
Yeah.
Now I see her.
I thought that was a thing, though, because then whenever it's revealed that Agnes has her own ghost companion, Roos couldn't see him until she explained what he looked like. Wasn't that a thing?
Yes, it is. But to me, the reader, me, Cheli.
You, Cheli.
Out in the real world, I'm just kind of like, are they both just kind of intensifying their trauma?
Trauma bonding?
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, probably.
It kind of felt like that because there's another instance later where that happens where that's where I felt it the most. Uh-huh. But after this chapter, the episode that plays with the doctor and the patient, the doctor was like, don't you find it kind of weird that her companion, her ghost buddy, she didn't like the word ghost, it was like her spiritual companion. Don't you find it kind of weird that his name was a name after a ghost in a book?
Peter Quaint.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't find that weird?
And Roos said, no, it's not weird because we're the ones who named them. It's not like they just came up with the names themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's why Ruth doesn't have a last name, because I didn't know about last names. I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. I don't like this sexual relationship between Agnes and Roos.
That's what I wanted to bring up. Thank you for saying that. For someone who's been craving romance, for someone who's been seeking romance in our spooky book, you finally get a sapphic romance and you're telling me you're not into it?
I didn't like it.
I knew you were not going to be into it.
And don't get me wrong, girlies, don't get me wrong, but it just kind of felt like Agnes was more in control.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was very much like this girl would literally sleep with anyone because she has had no love or affection in her life.
And you know what? It's fine. People have phases.
No. Take that back. It felt so gross to me. It straight up felt, because I feel like even her emotional maturity.
Get it. You weren't there.
Wait,
in the like fanfic trenches.
Did you like this relationship?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, to me, okay. I just kind of feel.
I was scared that this was going to be a romance between her and Ruth. That's what I was scared of.
Yeah, I didn't want that shit. But to me, it felt like because Agnes bought her, took her, and
saved her,
and had sex with her, to a person who not only didn't mature physically because her mama wasn't letting her, but I feel like didn't emotionally mature because she wasn't allowed to. It felt like grooming to me.
Okay.
And I didn't like that shit.
I get it. She was 21 though.
No, she was. But I don't feel like she had time to make her own decisions.
But it's not like Agnes immediately slept with her. Because I remember there was a moment when Agnes was really emotional, and then Roos kissed her, and they kissed and whatever, and then Agnes was like, whoa, we shouldn't be doing this.
I feel like she just could have put her foot down more. It wasn't my fave.
I think they were just trauma bonded at that point, you know?
No, they were. So they are over here living their best sapphic lives. And they get a call that mama, right?
Well, before that,
Okay.
I do just want to bring up that it's not like they don't talk, though. Like, they have conversations. And then Agnes even tells her about her family and about how she had to go to a boarding school because her dad's new wife didn't want her around.
Yep.
And so in this boarding school, people treated her badly because she was Indonesian. I don't remember if it was that or because they just didn't like her family.
I think it was that.
But there was like 2 different schools that bullied her for 2 different reasons. And so in this school, she had to do like a hazing. So she had to go off into the woods and fucking survive the night, I guess. And she ended up falling. She fell asleep or passed out or both, and then wakes up on top of a grave, which was Peter Quaintz's grave. And she had bled on the grave. And that's how she met Peter, and that's how they both became bound together.
I think it's after this chapter, there's another episode, right? Where the doctor's like...
So the doctor's asking Roos. The doctor is like, are you sure that actually happened? Because I called the school and they have there's nothing that was written down saying that Agnes had an accident, went off into the woods. And then there was also something else that Agnes said happened. I think it was that someone had tried to off themselves.
And
but
no one had ever done that at that school.
Exactly. And so the doctor is telling Roos in present time that never happened because there's no documentation for it. But Roos tells him, well, who would want to document that? It would just make them look bad. So it's really like,
it's hard
what's
to tell.
real and what's not real.
Yep. I forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Because I don't like Agnes. This the whole relationship seems weird to me. I don't know how old she is. I imagined her to be older.
No, because weren't they surprised that she was young? Because she had thought it was going to be someone old too.
Oh, you're right.
But then when she showed up at the seance, she was like, oh, she looks like she's my age.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I thought she was like 40. Okay.
Oh
yeah, dude. That's why I was kind of like,
No, they were like the same age.
It's still kind of weird. So, oh, you're right. It is such a fan fiction trope.
I'm telling you, this is the fan fiction roots right here. If I look up Johanna Van Veen, I'm going to find her AO3.
Dude, I love that. Her fanfiction.net. So, Agnes and Roos, I don't remember when it happens, but don't they start seeing their spiritual companions less and less? Both of them?
Do they? I don't remember that.
I don't think they're around much.
I think they're just like doing their own thing, you know?
Okay, love that for them.
But also Peter Quaint didn't really talk. He was just
because he's quaint.
He's very petite.
He's a
very
quaint
small.
man.
Yeah.
2 inches, put him in your pocket.
I love that scene though when Roos was looking for Agnes. She's walking down the hallway and fucking Peter is just like sunbathing like a cat, like on the ground. And then he points to wherever Agnes is because he just knows that's what she's doing. She's looking for Agnes. I thought that was so cute.
That's a grown ass man.
Peter is a ghost.
Which is a grown ass man.
Yeah.
I imagined him in a trench coat.
Yeah, me too.
Love that shit.
There's a character we haven't brought up.
Who?
Willemjen.
Who the fuck is that?
Willemjen, the sister.
I don't remember. Go.
Thomas's sister. Thomas's sister?
I don't remember.
That
was the person that went.
Tuberculosis? The one who's always coughing?
I don't remember her at all.
What are you talking about? She was such a big character.
Was she? I don't recall. Okay. She was with Agnes at the right? At the
I don't
seance?
remember. I don't remember if she was the one that was there. But anyway, so Willem Jim, call her W. Miss Knoop. She was fighting tuberculosis, and I thought her relationship with Roos was interesting because Agnes left a lot, and so Roos would kind of just go around the estate, go into the fucking gardens, go into the cemetery. There's like religious statues in the corner over there.
Yeah.
And then Willemjen noticed that she would kind of snoop around. Like she would like break into rooms. She would hoard a lot of food because she was always scared of starving. And then Willemjen had this moment where she was like, you know what? If you're so curious, let me just show you everything else that's locked up. Let me show you Thomas's room. So she opens Thomas's room. They're in there. And I think it was Roos who mentioned to Willemjen she knew about the spirit companion Ruth, but Roos mentions to her that, it's because, we did like a blood bond thing and whatever. Like she explained something to her where Willemjen tells her, well, you know what would make Agnes really happy? If Thomas could come back as a spirit companion. That'd be really chill, really fun, really fresh.
You're right.
And so she planted that seed into Roos's mind, and she's just like, okay, well, the only way for me to make her happy is if I can bring Thomas back.
And the only way to bring Thomas back, wasn't it that he had to be buried in a certain type of soil?
Yes.
Right?
So the reason that she decides to do this is because there's a moment when Agnes is going through it. Like she's really depressed, but also mad. And I feel bad for Roos because, like you said, she's not really emotionally mature yet. So she's over here like, oh my God, this is all my fault. Like she's going to leave me. I'm going to have to go back to mama and this and that and whatever. And so she goes to try to talk to Agnes, and Agnes is so upset, but about Thomas. Like it's not about Roos, but Roos just starts crying, and she's just like, you don't love me, or you don't like me anymore, you don't want me around anymore, I'm gonna have to leave, please don't make me go back to mama, I don't want to go back to her. And Agnes is just like, no, shh, it's not that, it's just that it's because it's Thomas's year that he's been dead. And so that's what really pushed her. She really thought, you know what, if I brought this man back, then she'll be happy again. Yeah. And it's going to be fun. And so this girl undigs him up. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. How is she even strong enough? You know what I thought? I thought that maybe if Ruth possessed her, then that would give her more strength.
I don't think that's something Ruth was... Oh, well, maybe she was capable of that.
I think she was, but I don't think Ruth was that strong. Maybe stronger than Roos, but not, So yeah, she
undigs and then reburies him in an area where the soil will make sure that his spirit can come back.
And then she bleeds on the body. Oh my God. I was panicking. I knew. I was like, there's no fucking way this is going to make her happy. This is going to be worse.
So they get a call. It is a call back from Roos's old home that Mama is sick and she's on her deathbed to come see Mama. And she tells Agnes, and Agnes is like, well, do you want to go? She's like, well, I mean, yeah, like, I guess. So she tells Roos, we're going to go, but if you don't want to stay there, I will have a hotel ready. They had precautions or whatever. They go. Agnes doesn't go inside. Roos does, and Mama's just... Well, first of all, she takes him...
Agnes isn't there, though, because doesn't she call her after to pick her up?
Yeah, I think she left. She drops her off and then leaves.
Okay.
So then Roos takes in the house first, and she's like, damn, this bitch ugly. Oh, my God, tattered stuff.
Now that I'm living lavishly, it's ugly.
Cheap perfume in rags. Oh, my gosh. And when she looks at Mama just looks... Like, she's almost there. Like,
Yeah.
she's about to pass away. But Mama's fucking mean as fuck, dude. Even on her deathbed, she's like, useless ass bitch, come running back.
And I think it's worse because there's a moment where Roos is talking to Agnes, and she explains to Agnes, oh, that's not actually my mama. She just makes me call her mama. So my dad left me with this random lady, said, hey, I'll be right back, ended up dying. And then I ended up being stuck with her. And so even on Mama's deathbed, she's just like, oh, no, I am your mama. Like, the way that you just ruined my body and ruined my life. And then she was like, ruined your body?
Yeah.
Don't do that. You literally said that I'm not yours. And she's just like, well, maybe you are.
I fucking hate that shit. I hate that shit. Do you think she was?
I don't know. This whole story is just kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I fucking hate that shit. But I liked how she was like holding in the monster, because Ruth was like, let me at her. Open your mouth so I can I can just attack this bitch. And so she tells Mama, you need to stop because Ruth is angry. And if you continue, she will kill you. I can't stop what she's going to do to you. I can't hold her. She does that thing. Hold on. Hold my mic. She does that thing where she's about to punch her. And she's, stop. Holds her own hand.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That literally happened.
But she leaves, right? She can't. She
throws up all over her.
Oh yeah, dude. Every single meal she's ever had gets thrown up.
I don't know why she threw up though. Did Ruth try to go inside of her?
No. She just, I feel like she was reacting to what the mom was saying, but this kind of felt like
bottled up.
This kind of felt like a demonic thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought of The Exorcist. I
Yeah.
was like, damn, everything's just coming out of her now.
That feels very okay. But then she calls Agnes and she's like, Agnes, please come for me. I can't stay here. And Agnes is like, okay, bye, and hangs up. And she's like, oh, is Agnes? Wait, hold on. Is Agnes mad at me?
Yeah.
So then Agnes comes and she's being really dry with her. Like, you hungry? Were we eating? No? Okay, going home. Doing it. And she's just like, whatever. She seems really agitated. And Agnes is in a room and Roosh goes in there and she's already like teary eyed. And she's like, what did I do wrong? What can I do to fix it? You need to tell me. And she's like, babe, it's not you. They found Thomas's watch, which is weird because I'm pretty sure he was buried with it, right? I'm pretty sure he was buried with it, but they found it, and she's like super like distraught about that. And then I fucking love that Rouge was like, oh, that was probably when I unburied him when that happened.
Super nonchalant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I unburied him. The watch probably fell.
Oh babe, that's probably what it was.
And then Agnes was just like, what do you mean you unburied him?
Well, it's because you looked really upset, babe, and I thought that because you cried about your husband, and I was gonna bring him back for you so he could be kind of like your familiar, and like, I don't know, babe, I don't know, and I bled all over his shit, respectfully,
to bring him back.
Yeah. And she was like, it's because you guys had a perfect relationship.
And she was like, perfect? What do you mean perfect? It was anything but perfect.
But she still loved him, right?
I think it was more like Stockholm syndrome.
Okay. Then why did she go to the seance? Was it to find someone who also
maybe, I don't know,
had a spiritual companion?
I'm not sure.
So pretty, dude.
Thank you. At this point, she says that Thomas was really mean to her. Was he abusive? I don't remember.
I think he was.
He was? And then he cheated on her with his sister.
With
Willemjen.
Willemjen.
I don't know if I'm saying that right. But Willemjen ended up pregnant. But the baby passed away after, I think, a day after the labor or something like that. And I think Thomas did love Agnes, like, when they were dating. But then once they got married, he realized that Peter Quaint was in the picture. And apparently insanity runs in his family. So he's like, wait a minute. I don't want any, unhinged children. So I need you to fix that up real quick.
Yeah.
So she did end up taking medication, and when she took medication, she couldn't see Peter anymore. And then they couldn't have kids. I don't remember why. They just never had kids. And then Willemjen got pregnant, and then he was like, you know what? I think you and I should just end it there. But she ended up pushing him off of a cliff.
Yeah.
And he passed away. Well, he died.
Yeah.
The way that they described it, though, was so nasty.
Dude, everything about this book disgusted me. So, Rouge feels real bad.
Rouge feels real bad.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, I hope he doesn't come back. I mean, I didn't believe that much. Maybe it didn't reach him. Whatever. A few days later, they are just loving each other so much. Such
Yeah,
beautiful,
because
loving
now I
relationship.
think now they're together.
Yes, they are. And they're looking out the window, I think.
No. What ended up happening was she was with Willemjen. And Willemjen was like, don't you see him outside? And Ruth is like, no. She's looking outside the window. She's like, no. So then Willemjen points and says, right next to the lake, right there.
I don't see anything.
No, when she says right next to the lake, that's when she sees Thomas.
Okay, here's the thing. It kind of feels like when characters would say that, don't you see her, don't you see him, they wouldn't. And the second time they would. Are they playing tricks on their own mind?
Oh,
or
maybe.
is it an actual ghost? Because to me, it felt like it wasn't actually there.
Was this the moment when you were like, oh, that's not real?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because to me, it was just like, I don't see anything. No, there. Oh, no, yeah.
Well, I just pictured the outside to be really, like, big.
Yeah.
And then her to be like, don't you see him? And I'm like, no. Where? I just pictured it to be, like, really big outside. So that's why. But my thing is that I would agree with you. Because it is kind of weird that it isn't until they point it out or explain what they look like. But then, how did this bitch throw things into the fucking windows?
I felt like it was them.
Who? It was just Agnes
and I feel like it was them. They explained them hiding from the glass. I remember that.
Oh.
Was Willemjen in there?
So when they see Thomas by the lake, they decide they're just gonna lock all the doors and windows so he can't get in, because I guess he's not an actual ghost. I'm so confused by that. And so they stay inside for, I think, 33 days.
Yeah.
But within that time, Willemjen passes away. The tuberculosis.
The TB got her.
The TB got her. Damn. Which is, it's, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it, because Willemjen was so in love with her brother. And she was just like, I really want to see him. I really want to see him. And so as her final wish, they decided to put her body, I think, outside or something, so that Thomas could see her.
Doesn't Thomas cry?
Right? I don't remember that. I just remember thinking, this is so dumb. Because Ruth had said it, I think, 3 times at this point, that spirits don't like the dying or the dead. So
can you imagine being their neighbor and their house being 2 stories, but yours is 3, and it's like, Mom, she's just taking a dead body outside and she just left it there like it's Tuesday trash.
I know.
I am just so, it's just unbelievable to me. So when it comes to that part where Thomas starts throwing rocks at the home, I thought it was them. I thought that they were interpreting it as like, no, they're throwing rocks. Like, I didn't trust unreliable narrator. I didn't trust them.
Well, I can see your point of view too, because why didn't that work for him to be able to go inside?
Because she did the exact same thing. She bled. Doesn't that count? Mm-hmm. So Agnes has this moment. She's getting tired.
Yeah.
Of like just Thomas just looking at her all the time.
Yeah.
And so she's like, this isn't living. And it's like, no, but we're surviving.
No, but then don't you remember Thomas ends up telling Agnes, if you let me in, I won't hurt your friend. So that's when Agnes tries to open the door, but then Rouge stops her.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, stop. He's playing with your head. So why did Agnes want them to take pills? Oh, because so then they wouldn't see Thomas.
Yes.
I answered my own question.
They wouldn't see Thomas, but then
they wouldn't see Ruth or Peter.
So
She just had medicine. Oh, because of the medicine that she used to take.
Yep.
You see how I'm answering my own questions?
I know. I'm So between that chapter, we're back with the doctor who is interviewing Roos
in present time.
Yeah. And she goes like, so why did you kill her? Like, why did you kill Agnes?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, you don't understand. I didn't kill her. Ruth killed her. And I was like, well, it was you though, right? I was like, no, when Ruth goes inside me, it's not me. And it's like, well, okay, fine. Why did Ruth kill her? And I think she was like, well, Ruth is very protective of me. Then the doctor makes a comment like, well, what if I fucking slap you right now? What would happen? And she just answers like, do you want to slap me? It's like, no.
That was very out of nowhere.
That was that was crazy to me. But yeah, right? They have that conversation. Okay. The next day, Agnes
tells convinces Roos that the only way that they're going to survive this is if they take the medication, can't see any of the ghosts anymore, and then they'll just leave. But Roos is having a hard time because Ruth has always been there for her through everything. And so she decides that tonight will be my last night with Ruth. I'll say my goodbyes. And then tomorrow we'll take the pills. So then she's cuddling with Ruth, and Ruth is really upset. She's trying to tell her and convince her, no, like there's got to be a different way. Maybe you know what? I can take Thomas. I can take him. But Roos doesn't think that she can. No. So the next day, she sees Agnes's body dying. And they've always had this thing since the very beginning where they wanted to crush up glass to kill Mama.
Yeah.
And it's believed that that's what Ruth did to Agnes. So that she swallowed the shred, the polvo, the dust of the glass.
Yeah.
And Roos is upset. And Ruth is kind of like, well, it had to be done.
She was going to separate us.
She was going to separate us, and I couldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
But it's not until present time when she's having that conversation with the doctor, when the doctor's like, that didn't kill her. Like, that can't kill you.
Oh, you're right.
What killed her was that she took too many pills. She accidentally overdosed. That's what got her.
Damn.
And so when we go back to the past, she buried her in the soil and I think bled on her so that she can come back to her. But I don't remember if anything significant happened with like Thomas, for example.
From what I remember, because it's the very, very end, right? Mm-hmm. They have like the court case for Agnes's death, and Roos got like free. Like
she was acquitted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fine. She goes back home, and she just describes that like I don't know if she sees Ruth anymore. Is she taking the medication?
I think she's taking the meds. Yeah.
But she describes that like she hopes one day Agnes will come back to her, but the only thing with her now is just the memory of Agnes.
Yeah, she said, until then, I'll let the memory of her possess me. So at the end, she's actually working for that doctor, Dr. Montague. So she just like types things for him. And that's what she's doing with her life now. But she says, I might have forgotten everything by then, Mama, Ruth, even my name, but Agnes I won't forget. She'll be there because she's a strong one, my Agnes. If anyone can become a spirit, it is she. So she's just waiting for her. The end.
So what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like this is the type of story where I really just want it to be what it's being told to me at face value, you know?
Yeah.
But I can see why Ruth would have been around Roos.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have any parent.
She was lonely.
She was lonely and she was scared. She was really scared in the beginning when they would do the séances because she would have to hide in the floorboards. But I want it to be real. Like I want this to be what it is so bad.
I kind of want it to, because I feel like it kind of makes it, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. If this is just a story where these ghosts don't exist, I think that makes it even more sad. And I don't want that. Because the idea that Agnes just overdosed because she was having like a psychotic
meltdown
moment, that makes me sad.
Yeah, it is sad. But the Dr. Montague kept trying to poke holes in Agnes.
Yeah.
He would be like, you know, that's not real, right? That's not true. She would lie to you about X, Y, and Z. And Roosh would just be like, well, I believe her, so.
Yeah, so shut the fuck up. I thought it was funny when the doctor described her and Agnes's relationship as just like homosexual tendencies. And I was like, no, that's my girlfriend.
Yeah. What do you mean? I loved her.
I guess now knowing that she wasn't 45, it does make it a little.
I can't believe you thought she was 45.
I thought she was 45, and I thought Roosh was freshly 21. So I was kind of like, I don't like that.
No, because I remember them describing her as young. Agnes. Also, Agnes was kind of broke. Isn't that crazy?
Which she didn't appear it at all, right?
No, she didn't. But the reason that she was able to buy Roosh from her mother was because she sold a bunch of jewelry. Wait,
Liar.
You didn't give me that fanfic rich lifestyle that I've been craving? I'm going back.
You're nothing like Harry Styles.
Harry wouldn't do this to me.
Oh my god.
But what did you think about the story?
I actually really liked this story. I thought it was really interesting. I'm like you though. I don't want to guess. I just want to know.
Same.
I just want to know. I want them to hand it in my hand.
I feel like some stories, okay, open endings, fine, whatever. But with this one, there were so many. Well, maybe it was like that. Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
Even with the whole, was she even her mom? We don't even know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Was Ruth there? Maybe not.
I want to know.
I
want to
know.
be in.
I need to email Johanna.
I thought, is that her name is set? I've seen Joanna's with an H in it.
You have?
Just Joanna? Yeah. Johanna.
I like Johanna.
I like it too. It adds a little charm, a little kick. That being said, overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this read. I can see myself recommending this to someone, but I can't with like disgusting stuff.
Like too gory?
Yeah, just the blood thing really, really got me.
That's so funny.
I couldn't.
It's funny to me because it's like, girl, we watched Terrifier together.
We did, and we didn't eat our food. Do you remember?
We couldn't finish our meal.
After we were so excited, we're going to sit down, we're going to watch this movie and eat really good poke because we loved poke that year.
Sad.
I was real sad. I can't handle that shit. I think I would recommend this book to someone, but I feel like I'm going to give it a 3.5, maybe a 4. That's where I'm at with it.
Really?
Yeah, I like this book a lot.
Aw. I thought you were going to give it higher than that. I'm just kidding.
You know what? 7.
No, I was going to say, I feel like it would have gotten a higher rating for me. But why does one of them always have to fucking die?
Well, it's the bury your gays.
But I'm sad.
Stop burying them.
Stop killing them. I honestly thought that this ending was going to be like, Roosh was going to die at the end or something. And be like, and that's when I saw her.
Well, don't you remember there was that scene at the beginning of the book where it was like, yeah, I loved Ruth. And then I was covered in blood. But we'll get to that later. I was like, what the fuck is going to happen at the end? I feel like we didn't get that. She was never covered in blood.
She wasn't. Ooh. What happened there?
Plot hole. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't remember that, so I can't even count it as a plot hole. So I feel like it would get a higher rating for me if it didn't have the bury your gays trope that I despise.
Yeah.
But overall, I did really like the story. I love the ghost companion aspect of it. I think it's so sad.
Her familiar.
Yeah, her familiar. And I think it is, I mean, it is gross, you know, the blood part. But, I mean, it could have been worse, I guess. For me, it was the throw up. When she threw up on her mom, I was like, this is disgusting.
I was just kind of like,
Checked
go
out.
for it, girl. Go for it. Let out everything. Release your inhibition.
She should have done it on her face.
Oh.
That would have been so good.
Uh,
Also, did Mama die? Because it doesn't matter. But,
no, she didn't. In the story, she didn't.
But are we made to believe that
she's going to?
She's going to. Okay.
We didn't even talk about the other guy she killed.
Oh my God, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
Mr. Mesman?
Yeah, Mr. M. Gross.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it, but trigger warning because it's disgusting.
Yep.
If you read it.
But what do you score this?
I think I would give it a high 4.
Okay.
A 4.5 probably.
Okay, I'm still at a 3.54.
If it didn't have the barrier gaze, it would have been a 5. This is my
Damn.
shit right here.
Dude.
It's very fanficky. Oh my God. But in a good way.
Okay, I love that shit.
Because sometimes when we describe something as being too fanficky, it's usually in a negative way.
Well, I feel like people who wrote fan fiction just kind of know their shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. People who have been in it for so long are like, no, I know how to fucking rip someone's heart out. Here I am.
And they did. They ripped my heart out.
Well, to any of you who are listening to us in audio form, thank you so much. If you are listening to us in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or anywhere you get your podcasts on, if you can please leave a rating of 5 stars. It takes like 2 seconds. You could do it right now. And please leave a review recommending us our November reads because we are currently searching for some. If you want to support us and you have a little bit of extra money, what can they do?
So we do have a Patreon, and at the moment it really just serves as a way for our listeners to let us know that you really enjoy our content. You can find us on patreon.com/bookfix. But if you don't want the commitment of monthly, then you can find us on Ko-fi, which is ko-fi.com/thebookfix, or buymeacoffee.com/thebookfix.
If you are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. If you can like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we post every Tuesday and Thursday with occasional Monday episodes, which are our book flicks episodes, which I still think we should make a new logo for that. That would be so cute. I don't know.
Maybe.
If you also want to support our social media, we have an Instagram, a Goodreads, and a Threads at the Bookfix Pod, as well as a TikTok at the Bookfix. So let's go ahead and read a positive and negative review of this book.
Which one do you want?
I'll do positive.
Okay. I do want to say that I love this book cover.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so obsessed with it. I think it's so cute.
Caitlin gave it a 5 out of 5 and says, clearly influenced by the master of macabre, Edgar Allan. Is that how you say the word? Macabre?
Macabre? I think so.
Edgar Allan Poe, Eep for short. Johanna Van Veen masterfully officiates a most unholy marriage of the macabre, the supernatural, and the tragically beautiful in her debut horror novel, My Darling Dreadful Thing.
What?
One of Poe's most haunting tales, The Fall of the House of Usher, provides the Gothic architect Van Veen builds from. Similarities immediately visible include the thematic presence of claustrophobia, the isolation, death and decay, and the myth and madness. The Rosin twin, the decaying family manor, is also likened to a living and breathing thing dying out with the end of the Knoop bloodline. As expected, the Knoop siblings, Thomas and Willingen, are uncomfortably dependent on each other and so emotionally entangled together. The reader immediately detects the symptoms of sick, incestuous relationship between the two. Thomas's wife, Agnes, is revolted by their relationship, but stays for her fondness of the family manor. Van Veen buries the reader in some archly disturbing truths, but she tunnels even deeper into the reader's psyche by deftly conducting a post-mortem examination on something we are all dying to possess, but fearful to keep: love. I can't give enough praise for this book, and as a hopeless romantic, I need some time to stitch back together my own bleeding heart and mourn for Roos and Agnes. Read this book. It's horrifying, but also tragically, queerly beautiful. I just want to say I'm a switcher. I do support them. I do support this relationship. I'm glad she's not 45. Thank you. I just feel like I'm a switcher. I just feel like the whole I'm gonna buy you and treat you right. I wasn't that fan fiction girly that read that.
What?
Yeah.
What was your fan fiction?
Dude, I was in the Omegaverse so hard.
What was your cringe fan fiction trope?
Oh my God.
Go.
Wait, hold on. Let's do that end of episode.
Okay.
Let's read yours first.
All right. So my review comes from Christina. They gave it 1 out of 5, and they said, the least interesting book I read in a while. It started strong, then just dropped off about 20% into the book, and the story just dragged all the way to the end.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. cringiest fan fiction trope that I read.
I think mine was probably this, like buying you to save you, whatever. Or like one of them is a prostitute, and it's just like,
oh my god, yeah, dude. Oh my god, you just unlocked something in me.
There was this one story that our mutual friend was really into, and they got me into it, and it was basically that, like, one of them was a prostitute but fell in love with the client, and then it was like this whole thing of trying to save the prostitute from, you know, the pimps. It was like this whole thing, but I was like,
I think I read that one too.
You did?
That's so fucking funny. I feel like I was on the surface level of the Omegaverse.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to believe it. I feel like it was still pretty bad, because one of them I read from that mutual friend. She was like, no, it's really chill. Trust me. If you've never read an Omega, the fucking main character ate his dad. And I was like, mutual friend, I'm scared. Like I'm so scared right
It's
now.
just, this is like crumbs compared to other.
I feel like
other
it was a
Omegaverse.
lot of that. I read a lot of. Damn, I can't think of any, because I was also really found family.
Yeah.
That was my shit. I remember I read one where like.
You're gonna cry.
I read one based on this one game I liked, and there was like this teddy bear in the game, and it was just kind of like a passing thing, but someone had written it in the perspective of one of the characters and like the meaning behind the teddy bear for him, and it was so good. And I remember that was like one of the first times I'd ever read fan fiction, and I was like, no one's telling me about this shit. Oh my god, I really like the crazy ones though. I really like what if they were pirates? Okay, but what if they were spies?
Pirates. That one's good.
Dude, you get what I mean?
I get what you mean.
I like the ones that are like, I'm gonna take you out completely, but still have the characters.
Do you remember the one that we were really into?
Which one? Because I have one that I remember.
The one where one of them was in a traumatic relationship.
Oh my god, dude, that's so funny that you say that, because I was gonna ask you about it, because I remember there was a sequel to it, and I never read it. I read like the first few chapters.
I don't remember if I read it. Oh
my
shit.
God.
We should read
We
it.
need to find it. I bet you I could find it. Oh my god.
But let me finish what it is.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So they're in a traumatic relationship, and then they end up like very hurt, injured, whatever. And then character B finds them, takes them to the hospital, mends them, gives them a place to live. Well, it's basically this.
I know this. It was actually this story.
It's actually-
Johanna wrote it. Dude, I remember that shit. We ate that shit.
We ate that.
Oh my god.
That's so
I'm
good.
hungry. I'm hungry.
Dude, me too. Let's go read it. Okay. Bye.
Bye.